Why is $1 not equal to £1 or £1? They are all just pieces of paper or numbers on a screen. So why does one buy more than the other? And here is an even bigger mystery. Every major country on Earth is in debt. Trillions of dollars. But if everyone owes money, who are they paying? And here's where things get strange. Governments can create money out of nothing. Yet if they create too much, entire economies can collapse. Some people are even getting richer using debt, while others are drowning in it. And the global financial system that moves trillions of dollars every day, criminals know exactly how to hide money inside it. To understand all of this, we have to start with a simple question. Why are currencies worth different amounts? A dollar, a pound, and a yen may look similar, but the number printed on them means almost nothing. The real value of a currency comes from trust in the economy behind it. When a country produces goods, creates jobs, and attracts investment, demand for its currency increases. And when demand rises, the value of that currency rises too. But when economies struggle, when governments print too much money, or when investors lose confidence, that trust starts to fade. And when trust falls, currencies weaken. That is why exchange rates constantly change. One day a dollar might buy 100 yen, the next day it might buy 98 or 102, because currencies are constantly competing in a global marketplace. A marketplace driven by trade, productivity, and investor confidence. The number on the bill does not matter. What matters is the economic strength behind it. Now, this leads to another question. If every country owes money, who do they actually owe it to? The answer is surprisingly simple, mostly to each other and to their own citizens. When governments need money to build infrastructure, fund healthcare, or pay public workers, they usually do not print cash. Instead, they borrow it. They do this by selling something called government bonds. A bond is essentially an IOU. You lend the government money today, and years later they pay you back with interest. Banks buy these bonds. Investment funds buy them. Retirement accounts buy them. Even other countries buy them, which means national debt is spread across millions of lenders around the world. Governments almost never fully repay this debt. Instead, they replace old debt with new debt. As long as the economy continues growing and lenders trust that they will keep receiving interest payments, the system continues to function. National debt works very differently from personal debt. You cannot repossess a country. The real danger only appears when trust disappears and investors stop lending money. Until then, the system keeps running. But this raises another question. If governments can borrow money, why not simply print more of it? Why not create $1 trillion and solve every problem instantly? The answer is inflation. Imagine a small town with 100 people and 100 loaves of bread. Each loaf costs $10. Everything is balanced. Now imagine the government prints another $1,000 and gives it to everyone. Suddenly people have more money, but there are still only 100 loaves of bread. Everyone rushes to buy bread, and the baker quickly realizes people are willing to pay more. Prices rise. $10 becomes $20, then $30. The money in your pocket did not make you richer. It simply made everything more expensive. That is inflation. Printing money does not create real value. It simply spreads that value across more pieces of paper. History has shown how dangerous this can become. In Germany, during 1923, the government printed so much money that people needed wheelbarrows full of cash just to buy basic groceries. The currency eventually became almost worthless. Because money only works when it represents real productivity. You cannot print wealth. You can only print inflation. Now imagine a completely different kind of money. Money with no government behind it at all. No central bank. No authority. Just code. That is the idea behind Bitcoin. Bitcoin exists entirely online. Every transaction is recorded in a digital ledger called the blockchain. Thousands of computers around the world verify every transaction. Once a transaction is confirmed, it becomes permanently recorded. No one can erase it. No bank controls the system, and no government can create more of it whenever they want, because Bitcoin has a built-in limit. Only 21 million Bitcoins will ever exist. This scarcity is why many people compare it to digital gold. But Bitcoin also has serious challenges. Transactions can be slow, prices can swing dramatically, and if you lose your password, your money is gone forever. There is no customer support, no reset button. Still, Bitcoin proves something revolutionary. Money can exist based on mathematics rather than trust in governments. But the story of money does not end there. There is another economic force most people misunderstand: deflation. Falling prices might sound like a dream. Cheaper groceries, cheaper cars, lower rent, but deflation can actually damage an economy. Because when people expect prices to fall, they delay spending. Why buy a car today if it might be cheaper next month? Consumers wait. Businesses lose sales. Companies cut jobs. jobs, unemployment rises. People earn less money and spend even less. Prices fall further. The economy enters a downward spiral. This happened in Japan during the 1990s. Prices stagnated for decades, and economic growth slowed dramatically. Inflation can feel painful, but deflation can completely freeze an economy. Because economies depend on constant movement. When spending stops, the entire system slows down. Another misunderstood part of economics involves tariffs. When governments place tariffs on imported goods, it often sounds like they are punishing foreign countries, but that is not what actually happens. The foreign country does not pay the tariff, the importing company does. If a company buys steel from overseas for $1,000 and a 25% tariff is added, the company must pay an extra $250. To maintain profits, the company usually raises prices. That steel becomes part of cars, appliances, and buildings, and eventually, the higher cost reaches the final consumer. Tariffs are essentially taxes on imports, and taxes almost always end up being paid by buyers. But perhaps the most visible economic change today is housing. 50 years ago, a single income could often buy a home. Today, even two incomes sometimes struggle to qualify for a mortgage. Housing prices have risen far faster than wages. Part of the problem is limited supply. Many cities restrict new construction. Population continues to grow. Demand rises while supply stays limited. Prices climb. But another factor changed the housing market: investors. Large companies and wealthy individuals began purchasing homes as investments rather than places to live. Homes became financial assets, and ordinary buyers suddenly had to compete with investors buying properties in bulk. For many young people today, saving for a down payment can take decades. Now let us talk about the stock market. Two people enter the market. One is a trader. The other is an investor. Traders focus on short-term price movements. They buy and sell quickly, sometimes within hours or days. Investors take the opposite approach. They buy strong companies and hold them for years, sometimes decades. One of the most famous investors in history, Warren Buffett, built his fortune by holding companies for the long term, rather than constantly trading. Trading focuses on speed. Investing focuses on patience. Both strategies can generate profit, but they require very different mindsets. Finally, there is one more powerful financial strategy: using debt to build wealth. For most people, debt is a burden: credit cards, loans, and interest payments. But wealthy individuals often use debt differently. Instead of selling their investments, they borrow against them. Imagine owning $10 million worth of stock. Selling those stocks could trigger large tax payments, but borrowing against them allows access to cash without selling anything. The assets continue growing while the loan remains relatively cheap. In this way, debt becomes a financial tool rather than a burden. And that leads to one final hidden process within the financial system: money laundering. Criminals cannot simply deposit illegal cash into banks. That would immediately raise suspicion. So they hide the source through three stages: placement, getting the money into the financial system; layering, moving the money through complex transactions and shell companies to hide its origin; and integration, bringing the money back as seemingly legitimate income. Once the money passes through enough layers, it becomes difficult to trace. In a financial system processing millions of transactions every day, illegal funds can disappear inside the noise. Money laundering does not hide the money itself. It hides the crime behind it. And that reveals the real truth about money. Money is not just paper or numbers. It is trust, power, psychology, and sometimes manipulation. Understanding how it works changes how you see the world. Because once you understand the system, it becomes much harder to be fooled by it.